Hi everyone, it's Arshalahi, and in today's video, something that I'm going to be talking about, which I'm quite passionate about, it's about the news that the Housing Secretary, Robert Jenrick, brought out on the 21st of August 2020, and this was that they wanted to extend the eviction or extend the ban on evictions and notice periods for further 4 weeks, means that in total, the eviction ban would have been for a span of 6 months. Now, before we go any further, I want to say a quick hello to new subscribers and new people to the channel. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're taking away a lot of content, a lot of notes. As always, it'd be much appreciated if you could click the subscribe and the notification bell. Every time I release a new video, you'll get an instant notification that something's come online. So let's get straight into it. This is going to probably come out as a bit of a rant because I am quite passionate about it, because it almost feels like we're incentivizing tenants not to pay rent. We're actually making it easy for them to not pay rent. What you're actually saying to landlords is, guys, okay, we're not paying you rent and there's nothing that you can do for it. And there's nothing that you can do about it. Well, you can, but it's going to take a lot longer than what it would have. If you're issuing a notice now, you now have to almost ensure that there's a 6-month period for you to evict the tenants. Now, that is absolutely crazy. Now, if you're let's just say a newer investor and you've got perhaps 1 or 2 properties, how is that going to affect you as a property investor? How's that going to affect you as a landlord? How's that going to affect your cash flow? You've still got outgoings to pay. You can't say to the mortgage company, guys, okay, I can't pay you this month because my tenant has not paid me. They're going to say, so what? You know, you either pay us or we're going to start repossession. So in essence, we're kicking the can down the street. The tenant, as far as I'm concerned, and again, one thing that I should put a little disclaimer here is that these are all my opinions. I've done research on the eviction ban and everything that it brings. I kind of understand the reason as to why they've done it. Do I believe that the reason that they've given it is correct? Absolutely not. So let's have a look at what's happened. So the government were worried that prior to COVID, as a result of furloughs, as a result of lots of people laid off, they wanted to make sure that landlords can't go to their tenants and say, guys, okay, you haven't paid your month's rent, you haven't paid your rent this month, off you go. Or, you know, here's your notice and let's start the eviction process. So they decided to delay that so that there had to be an extended period before the tenant could be given a notice. And even then, we were in lockdown, so no courts were open, and the legal system had kind of shut down. Even now, they're only taking on severe cases such as antisocial behaviour or tenants who are in masses of arrears. We're talking years, by the way. So, landlords, it's been noted. The reason why I look down here is because there's so many notes to make on this. You know, I read an article on the Independent website and it says that 227,000 renters fell into rent arrears as a result of COVID-19, and 174,000 was known to have been threatened with eviction. Now, let's look at this from reverse. Now, they're massive figures, but when you look at it from point of view, what's the chances of you being able to go to Asda or a supermarket, any almost like retail, and say, tell you what, I'm going to take this can of beans, and do you mind if I take it home? Do you mind if I eat it? Probably digest it for a month, and then come and pay for it in a month's time. Because in essence, let's face it, that's what happens in rented accommodation. A lot of times, you know, it'd be great if we could all say that all the rent was paid in advance, but especially if you're a tenant on benefits, or if you get universal credit, or if you've been furloughed and you now got you're now having the assistance of benefits, this is what happens. The government pays you in arrears. So in essence, that person has lived in your property for a whole month, and then at the end of the month, when you're expecting to get paid from universal credit because the tenant's now been paid universal credit, or the tenant's been paid the wages, etc., they say, guys, okay, not sure if we can pay this month. How does that make you feel? What would Asda, what would Sainsbury's say to you? Or what would John Lewis say to you, or any of the retail chains that say, sorry, it's not happening. You can't pay for it, you're not taking it. So how do we differ? Because we're offering a product or we're offering a service that they can't really live without. Can they live without a roof over their head? No, they can't. It's almost like a necessity of life. You know, hot water, heating, electric, and wear and tear on the building, and a roof over your head. These are the necessities of life. Yet the government have found that it's acceptable for them to say, guys, okay, I'll tell you what, don't worry about your landlord. Because in essence, this is the way that I've said, don't worry about your landlord. You can't pay your rent, don't worry. Have you seen that program? Can't pay, we'll take it away. Well, can't pay, don't worry about it. No one's going to take it away from you because we're now going to extend the period so that they can't kick you out. So you've got further protection. So I am quite passionate about this because I'm quite fortunate that we're okay with this, but I can kind of see that the more the government does this, the more the tenants are going to feel like it's a norm that they can get away with this. And there will be tenants out there that use this to their advantage, where they have been paid their wages, they have collected their universal credit, and they're just genuinely not paying for no apparent reason. And it does happen. You know, I own a letting agency. I also own quite a few properties where we've got quite a few tenants, and some of them do try and play the system. Rightly or wrongly, that's what happens. So why did the government do this? Let's have a look at the logic as to why they did this. I understand that in COVID-19 that they were worried that they were going to become homeless, or and then as a result of lockdown and stuff, they may not have been able to find an alternative property. I get that. But at some point, common sense has got to kick in with the government and say, guys, okay, what were the events that came up to the point where that person was homeless? Why did they not pay the rent? Okay, so if they've lost their job, that's a valid reason. What's the steps now for them to now start helping the landlord to pay the rent? They could have claimed universal credit. If they've claimed universal credit and they've received the money and they've spent it, is that an action of the tenant? Have they necessarily then put themselves in a position where they're going to be forced or they're going to be issued with a notice of eviction? Yes, they have. So why are we protecting them for their stupidity? Why if they can't be bothered to help themselves, or if they are actually helping themselves by keeping the rent and not paying it, why is the government still almost like rewarding this, best way of describing it, rewarding this carelessness behaviour? Because let's face it, it is. We've all got bills to pay. What happens if I don't pay the gas and the electric in my house? Chances are they're going to take me to court. Now, has the government said that it's stopping all gas and electric companies from taking people like me to court? No, it hasn't. I still have to pay my bills. So the rent is a bill. The rent is a cost. It's an outgoing. So why is the tenant exempt from paying that? That's my question to the government. You know what? It'd be great if Rishi, Boris Johnson, Robert Jenrick were all watching this video. I would welcome a conversation. Chances of that happening is actually slim to none. So the reason why the government extended it by a further 4 weeks, by their own quote in The Independent, it was actually giving the tenant a few more weeks to pack their bags. How weak is that quote? A few more weeks to pack their bags. So basically what they're saying is, we know the inevitable is going to happen, but I'll tell you what, just have a little bit more time. Let the landlord suffer some more loss. Let the landlord feel some more pain. Has the government ever thought that we've got outgoings to cover? Got bills to pay, we've got mortgage to pay, we've got insurance to pay, and we've got insurances to pay. We have to make sure that the buildings are maintained. We have to pay taxes. We're getting hit from every section. Section 24, now eviction bans, tighter rules on tenants, universal credit. When does it all end? Is this just another strategy to force landlords to sell? I personally believe it is. put more and more pressure, get more landlords out of market. But what the government don't really understand is that the housing is not, there's not enough houses being built to meet the demand. So at some point they have to rely on the rental sector, the private rental sector, the PRS. At what point are they going to reward us and say, guys, you know what? Thanks for helping us out. Thanks for helping us by helping us with the housing shortage. Without you guys, what would happen? How many landlords are there in the UK? How many private rented houses are there in the UK? So these are all things that you've got to take into consideration. One thing to also take into consideration is that it doesn't just stop here with the delayed eviction process. There's going to be, when the courts open back up, there's going to be a massive backlog of cases. They've said that the priority will be given to antisocial behaviour and also rent that has been unpaid for a year. Now, I'm just going to work on the Midlands cases here. The average rent is £600 a month, and a year, that's £7,200. So that's £7,200 that a landlord would have lost. Plus you've got your court costs, your solicitor's costs and everything. That's easily racking up to £10,000. But yeah, you know what the government says? Don't worry about it. Let's just delay it a little bit longer. Why? Why don't you help us? Why are you battling against us? I've got so many notes to talk about. Tenants have taken advantage of the rent holidays. So a lot of landlords have taken advantage of the mortgage holidays, which, in essence, has had to have been passed on to the tenant. And they've had rent holidays. So they've probably had their rent from their work, their furlough payment, or even the universal credit payment. They've had that, and it's not been passed on to the landlord. Why not? There's talks of extending it further. This is a U-turn. This was meant to have come to a close, and we should have been able to start the eviction process, and extended it by another 4 weeks. What's going to happen at the end of 4 weeks? It's up for another review. Are they going to kick the can further down the road? At some point, the government's got to say, you know what, we've got an issue, because what's going to happen is that the eviction rate is going to go through the roof. As a result of the eviction rate going through the roof, we're going to increase homelessness. What's going to happen there? Who's going to house all these people? We're already seeing a massive surge, an increase in homelessness. Now, I have lots of sympathy for people who are homeless. But I also take a view that they've done something along the way to make themselves in that position. Right or wrong, and unfortunately this is a controversial decision to talk about this. But I deal with a lot of tenants on benefits. So I see it every day, and we've got some great benefit tenants. But unfortunately, you get the good and you get the bad, and you definitely get the ugly. And what happens is that we've seen some of the worst benefit tenants, and they don't do themselves any favours. They appreciate that there's a landlord out there that's actually accepting people on benefits, which is quite a rarity nowadays. Yet they don't respect the accommodation, yet they want to have antisocial behaviour, etc. So naturally, the landlord has to do what's in the best interest for him, his property, and also his other tenants. I've got a 23-bed HMO at the moment. I've got one tenant causing havoc in that 23-bed HMO where she's playing music loud at night. Now, what do? Do I say to all the other 22 good tenants, guys, it's okay. You guys move out and I'll look after this bad one? Or do I say, to the bad one, now's your time to go? However, with the eviction process, can I do that? I've got to wait a certain period. So what's happening throughout the whole period, it's annoying the 22 other good people. Now, if you live in a block of flats or ex-local authority block, you'll resonate with what I'm saying here. Now I've got an issue where one person is annoying 22 good people, but yet I can't do anything about it because the government has stopped me from doing that, because now they're saying it's okay, she can still live there. Okay, granted she's paying a rent, which is one part of an element of being a landlord. Collecting rent is one thing. Tenant security and giving a place which is clean, safe, secure, warm, as well as an enjoyable place to live, is a massive part of it. but I can't do the last part because I've got one person who now thinks it's fine to play loud music 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every night for the last 3 weeks. Now, what's going to happen is that I'm going to lose twice. Not only is the tenant causing me an issue going to stay there and continue to cause an issue for my other tenants, but also potentially all my good tenants that have been with me for 3, 4, 5, 6, even up to 10 years are now going to start to look for somewhere else to live because they understand that I can't get rid of this problem for a few more months yet. Let's say it extends for another 4 weeks. Let's say after that it's going to take me another few months to go through the court process. Where do I stand with that? You've caused a massive problem, guys. You've caused, the government has caused landlords a massive problem. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that video. A little bit of food for thought. It feels like a bit of a rant, admittedly, and I apologise if it has come across as a bit of a rant, but these are all valid points that we have to take into consideration, especially as property investors. It's never always plain sailing and easy. I wish it was, otherwise everyone would be doing it. We do have our fair share of issues. The government are putting external pressures on us. Section 24, we're being taxed heavily. Eviction process becoming far tougher. People on benefits, giving the tenant more control of their finances, which means that we're not getting paid. So as a result, there is a lot of red tape surrounding being a property investor and being a landlord. But again, when I look at it as a whole, the good outweighs the bad. But hopefully you've taken a lot of points away from that. As always, if you like the video, please press like, please share it with your friends. If you like content like this and you want more free content, I've released a podcast which is called The Property Rebel. We release a new podcast every Tuesday at 6 a.m. In order to get your hands on that, all you got to do is go to iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and type in The Property Rebel and subscribe to it. And it's completely free. And you'll see that we've got, I think, about 20 to 30 episodes there, all covering a range of different topics. Finally, if you're still looking for property deals and you like the thought of seeing below market value deals, rent to rent deals, lease option deals, development deals, as well as all kinds of different property strategies, I've launched an app called The Property Investor. It's called The Property Investor. And it's the UK's first marketplace where we showcase all kinds of property investment deals in the form of an app. So again, like I said, below market value deals, anything up to 50% below market value. You like the thought of that? Rent to rent deals, lease option deals, service accommodation deals, any kind of property investment deal that you're after, you can find it on the app. All you've got to do, if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor, or if you want to go to a website, go to propertyinvestorapp.co.uk. and you can see it all there for free. It takes 2 minutes to register and everything there is there right in front of you. If you want to connect with me on social media, please feel free to do so. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter and Instagram under Arshilahi, and I look forward to connecting with you all soon. As always, I wish you to all be safe and happy, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.